Hello everyone. Before proceeding to the topic, I would like to introduce my team that will discuss and explain Chapter 3 of Assessment of Learning 1. The first presenter is myself, Annalisa Aguilar, to be followed by Miss Maricel Agnas, and to be followed by Mr. Bernie Gonzalez as the last presenter. In this chapter, you will distinguish program outcomes from learning outcomes. Chapter 3, Program Outcomes and Student Learning Outcomes. The shift of focus in education from the content to student learning outcomes has changed teachers' educational perspective. In the past, teachers were often heard about their concern to finish their subject matter before the end of the term. Why is this so? Maybe because of the number of their students or failure to clarify the desired learning outcomes. Teachers' concern for outcomes was secondary to the completion of the planned content for the subject. Therefore, teachers were more content-centered than outcome-centered. Because of the educational perspective, the Commission on Higher Education, the body that regulates higher education in the Philippines, requires the following program outcomes for all higher education under Memorandum Order Number 20, Series 2014. The first is articulate and discuss the latest developments in the specific field of practice. B. Effectively communicate orally and in writing using both English and Filipino. C. Work effectively and independently in multidisciplinary and multicultural teams. D. Act in recognition of professional, social, and ethical responsibility. And E. Preserve and promote Filipino historical and cultural heritage. Some program outcomes are based on types of higher education institutional or HEI because this determines the focus and purpose of HEI. One example is graduates of professional institutions demonstrate the service orientation in one's profession. Chapter 3.2 Program Outcomes for Teacher Education. The following are the program outcomes for teacher education in 2017 Philippines. A. Articulate the rootedness of education in philosophical, sociocultural, historical, psychological, and political contexts. B. Demonstrate mastery of subject matter or discipline. C. Facilitate learning using a wide range of teaching methodologies and delivery modes appropriate to specific learners and their environments. Develop innovative curricula, instructional plans, teaching approaches, and resources for diverse learners. E. Apply skills in the development and utilization of ICT to promote quality, relevant, and sustainable educational practices. F. Demonstrate a variety of thinking skills in planning, monitoring, assessing, and reporting learning processes and outcomes. G. Practices profession and ethical teaching standards sensitive to the local, national, and global realities. H. Pursue lifelong learning for personal and professional growth through varied experiential and field-based opportunities. Now let's compare the taxonomies of the cognitive domain by Bloom, Anderson, and Krathwohl. Benjamin Bloom critically examined his own cognitive taxonomy, and he noted that there is a fundamental differences between the knowledge category. This is the first level in his taxonomy, and the mental operation, higher 5 levels in his taxonomy: comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, performed on that knowledge or with that knowledge. Bloom identified types of knowledge in his taxonomy. 1. Terminology. 2. Specific facts. 3. Conventions. 4. Trends and sequences. 5. Classifications and categories. 6. Criteria. 7. Methodology. 8. Principles and generalizations. 9. Theories and structures. Now let's familiarize and differentiate its taxonomy of cognitive domain. Bloom taxonomy in 1956. The first category is knowledge. This is the remembering or retrieving previous learned materials. Number 2, comprehension. This is the ability to grasp or construct meaning from the material. 3. Application. This is the ability to use learned materials or to implement material in new and concrete situations. 4. This is the analysis. The ability to break down or distinguish the parts of materials into its components so that its organizational structure may be better understood. 5. The synthesis. The ability to put parts together to form a coherent or unique new whole. The 6th is the evaluation. This is the ability to judge, check, and even critique the value of materials for a given purpose. In the Anderson's and Krathwohl's taxonomy in 2001, the first level of categories is the remembering. It is when memory is used to produce and retrieve definitions, facts, or lists, or to recite previously learned information. The second is the understanding. This is constructing meaning from different types of functions, be they written or graphic messages or activities. The third is applying. It's carrying out or using a procedure through executing or implementing. The fourth is analyzing, breaking materials or concepts into parts, determining how the parts relate or interrelate to one another or to an overall structure or purpose. The fifth level is to make judgment based on criteria, syllabus guidelines. Number 6, creating, to put pieces together to form something new or recognize components of a new structure. Chapter 3.3, the 3 types of learning. According to Benjamin Bloom and a committee of colleagues in 1956, the following are the 3 domains of educational activities. The first is cognitive, which refers to mental skills. The second, affective, referring to growth in feelings or emotion. And the third is psychomotor, referring to mental or physical skills. These were translated to simpler terms commonly used by teachers as knowledge, skills, and attitudes, or KSA. In Anderson and Catmull's cognitive domain of taxonomy, they identified 4 categories or levels of knowledge. The first is the factual knowledge, which refers to facts. The second is conceptual knowledge, which refers to the interrelationship of facts. The third is the procedural knowledge. This is knowing how to do something. And the last is the metacognitive knowledge. This is knowing that you know.